Welcome, everybody. I'm very excited. This is Rabbi Drew Kaplan. I'm very excited to have a conversation with the man behind the artwork in the hallways of our building in the administrative wing. This is Mordechai Rosenstein. So Mordechai, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, believe me. I'm looking forward to it.
This is great. This is great. So for some of you who may be in the hallways in the administrative wing, you might be wondering what is behind this artwork? What's the story? So I'm very excited, very pleased. Mordechai lives in Pennsylvania, and Mordechai, you're 86, right?
Yes.
86 years old. So Mordechai here is the contemporary of many of you here in the building, and we're just going to get rolling. I'm very curious to hear the story behind your art and your inspirations.
Okay. That's called Joy. That's a very early piece.
Yes, 1979, right?
Right. I believe it was 79 or 80, an early piece.
Yeah.
And what I did there, I put the letters together. I didn't know if that was legitimate, but I had the letters creating almost like a lacy effect of the letters. And that's why I have the big, bold harp with the multicolor, which represents all types of music, like the rainbow, like all shades of music.
Really?
Cantorial to symphonic is represented. And I use the three strings that I understand that David's harp had three strings. I think I heard that somewhere. So that's the idea. And I put the letters together, and they have a shape that I really have never used since, like the same weight letter. There's a little difference, but back in the day, there were no books from Israel with typefaces or Hebrew calligraphy.
Really?
And you can get books now with different Hebrew typefaces, but no, not back then. Well, maybe they started to be, but I didn't have any available. So I came up with this typeface. Maybe I saw it somewhere, I'm not sure. But it's the only time I ever really used that particular letter with same weight throughout. Of course, I really enjoy it. I love the there's like almost a movement of the very bold letter, top of the letter. It almost breaks and then it swells out again. There's a real movement in the letters, which I never thought of it, but that's I really enjoy that. The thick to thin, wide to narrow. There's a certain rhythm to it, which I like.
So you normally
notice I also put the vowels up into the letter, the body of the letter. Another thing which for me was like earth shaking. Could I get away with it? To move all the vowels inside the letters.
That's
which
clever.
Is a device I use now and then.
But this is rare in that you usually alternate the typefaces or the sizing.
Well, in most of my later work, the letters became more important, became the image. Here I was still sharing space with an image, but you'll find later on the letters are predominant and they form the image. But this was early, and it was large also. If you notice later on as we get along, the pieces were smaller, more practical size. Like this was, I think, 28 by 36. I think it's very large at 24 by 30. But when you have every artist needs a merchant to guide him. So that's why the first piece I ever did was a piece for physicians. We get that sell to physicians. I would never think of it, direct it. What was it? So we lowered the size. Now for the last many years, all our images are 20 by 24. And it's a lot easier when you have a show and you're leaving and packing up that any box will take any picture. If you think about that, you don't have to look, where's the big box? So, and we found that sometimes they were just too large. People just said, it's too large. I don't have room. So we're in a size for many years now. But this is a little larger than the work of the last many years. It was an early one. Also, that Shalom, that piece is also larger. That's early work.
Right, which we will get to. One thing that really is fascinating to me in looking at this is how there are a lot of like sort of more kind of definitive lines or edges, whereas the bottom of the colors here have a less defined sort of end, as it were, right? There's a lot of straighter lines. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, the edge. That is like, the music is not confined, but it's just it flows. Yeah. I'm not really sure why I did that, but it may be that. But it was very conscious that I did it. That I didn't want to maybe lock the music right in. Like, the harp was the harp, but the music is sound, and it doesn't have an edge. It just flows. I suspect that's what I had in mind, but that's 40 years ago.
Yeah, and the instrument is very defined as a hard shape, something definitive and concrete, whereas I like what you were saying, the music is free flowing and it doesn't have the same barriers.
Right. I also took artistic license.
Yeah.
The Vav should be between the Lamed and the Mem, but it's between the Shin and the Lamed, actually.
Yeah. So we have here Bakesh Shalom Vrod Fehu, and I believe this is another piece of which we have 2 copies of here. Boy.
Yeah, these are early. These are large. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see that I took artistic license to put the Vav to the side. So it's almost like an abstract design.
Yeah.
Using the letters. Here they're becoming more prominent. The flower was back in the day when the National Guard was out at the schools and the kids would put a flower into the rifle.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what you had there, Shalom, peace. And also, the piece that was made between mankind and the Creator, the rainbow, that, that we would never destroy the world by flood again.
Yeah.
So the image, I really have to have a reason for everything I put in. Otherwise, I call it pushing paint. And you just don't want to do that.
Oh,
so
really?
Everything has a reason. Oh, yeah.
So you're very conscientious about what you're doing. It's not just haphazard.
Oh, yeah, very kind. That's my reason.
Oh, yeah.
So no matter if it's a small name or a large piece like this, gets the same attention. It really does. It's for me, it's being creative. That's what I do. So size doesn't matter, or that's from a small name to a large piece like this gets the same effort and attention.
Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting what you did below with the 2 shins, as well as the final mem and the fe, is coloring them in.
Well, where they were closed, I don't know why I started to do that. But also, I thought they were interesting shapes, and they gave some weight to the letters also. But I studied with a famous abstract expressionist. His name was Franz Klein. He was known for his black and white paintings. And he said that, there's no negative areas. Everything's important. One defines the other. I mean, there's the shapes that happen in between the letters. I was very conscious of that, the resulting letters. So, the resulting shapes, which do define the letter. They're just as important. They describe the letter. Whether it's going to be fat, thin, this. So that's what I'm doing now. I thought there was it was timid at first. I started to color in some of those areas that were completely closed. You notice, the kuf and the hay, I couldn't put in the color because there was no line confining it. But later on, I transgressed that.
Oh, yeah. So this is still early on in your art career.
Yeah, it's like I guess probably 80, that piece.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now
we were just coming out now. You couldn't go into a Hebrew bookstore and find anything like this. What they had were pictures of the Temple Mount in black and white.
Yeah.
They never had letters this big in color. Just didn't happen. you know, when you walked into a bookstore, it was books, and maybe they had a picture up on the wall. Today, you walk into a bookstore and you say, "Where are the books?" Because they have a wall of Hebrew ketubot. But
Yeah.
40 years ago, we were very kind of unique. We were the only ones out there. David Moss had really broken the ice and started to do ketubot. David Moss, many years before. You know, I was living in the village as a bachelor, and my wife came down. We were going to go out on a date. We were married in 62. So this had been like about 1960 or 61. She came down with a Hadassah magazine that had a David Moss ketubah on the cover. And she said, "Look, someone else is doing Hebrew calligraphy." You know, I used to come home from designing, and my relaxation was Hebrew. We'll get into that. I was doing it since I was in high school, working with the letters. Again, with no instruction. The Forwards newspaper was my textbook.
Oh, really?
We used to get the forwards, of course, every day.
Let's see, another 1980 piece is this. This Yonah piece.
Is that in 1980? You sure?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because that Moda Ani is also very early. Yeah. Well, this, you see, I decided to use the instead of the words, I was using the shape of the story is actually about the big fish and being swallowed. So I used that shape. And the letters are really very, only describe the images. The letters, I didn't use them to create the fish or anything like that, which I usually think I would have done, but I didn't do that. I used the fish with the ship in the storm and Yaffo, where Jonah left from, and Nineveh. We sat under the gourd, and remember it was withered, and he complained, "Yo, I'm getting hot here," you know. And the Creator said to him, "Well, look, there's a whole city here, thousands of people." I forget the exact term, and you know, you're concerned about the gourd. I'm worried about the city and the people. You know, and they did get their act together.
Yeah.
It's been a large city, and what was it, 3 days to walk across it? Maybe they went around it. I don't know, but I remember he walked like 1 day into the city because it was 3 days. It's interesting. Those little side notes, you know, the things that, you know, I love to do the research. It was, it's so interesting. I really get into it.
Yeah.
You know, I use many sources. You know, look up the research. What does the Hertz say about it? What does Monk say about it? Rabbi Monk. You know, and now on the TV, on the computer, my wife can get me stuff.
That's
You know what I mean? You can find it's wonderful. So that again is a little different. That I use the fish as the basic image, and the letters are a very small part in it.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast versus those two other early pieces of yours, which are very letter driven, and here they're barely in there at all.
Yeah, the story itself,
Yeah.
which I think would even appeal to young people. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I never had like this is my doctrine or this is my formula. I moved around a lot. You know, tried many things. I enjoyed making this one. Trying to get the ship. The sail is waving in the wind. Yeah.
And you can tell that the ship is caught in a tempest, in a storm, with the little lightning, the darkness. It seems to be buffeted by the waves.
Yeah, kind of tilted up. The
amusing thing is that it also obscures the head of this animal. It's unclear whether is it a fish, is it a whale? Well, it's an aquatic sea creature.
Right. Yeah, which, you know, we describe now as the large fish. But it's easy to say a whale, but now this one, in fact, they say this was created on the 5th day of creation, the rabbis say. That this fish was created on the 5th day and it hung around so it could do its job. You hear that one? Yeah, you know, when I do the research, I find that it was created on the 5th day.
Wow. Wow. And yeah, I also am, one of the interesting things that really pops out is how you characterize Jaffa, Yafo, and Nineveh, as Nineveh is being shiny, it's being sunny, it's bright, whereas Yafo is, it's a sea town, it's got its port. It doesn't seem as bright, but that's really fascinating, making Nineveh really bright, and having Jonah seeking shade in that Kikayon, that gourd.
Well, yeah, so it was a pretty sunny day,
Yeah.
when it withered, and the city was, I guess that was probably why I did that. But
Yeah.
Jaffa was just like a seaport, just strung out on the edge of the ocean.
Yeah.
And he took off for where? I think we call it Spain, was it?
Oh, really?
Well, I think it's been interpreted as maybe Spain.
Hmm.
I forget the Hebrew. He was heading. He bought it. Remember, it said he bought a passage to somewhere. To I don't know. I don't have the Chumash in front of me, but
I have to look it up.
the word has appeared again. It wasn't a strange place. It
Oh,
was
he found a ship
someplace-
going to
I just thought-
Tarshish. He found a ship going to Tarshish.
Tarshish, yeah. I think that's been interpreted as Spain. I don't know, maybe it was Cyprus. I don't know. Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know.
Whoever bought these had good taste, and they different styles. Very nice.
Yep. Now, the next thing that we have from you chronologically is one of my favorites, which is this, which is a variety of, it's 3 separate things from 1983 of yours, and they are from Pirkei Avot. One is from chapter 2, one is from chapter 4, and one is from chapter 6 from Pirkei Avot. And the one on the right is, I think it's from Rabbi Tarfon, that you are not free.
Lo alecha hamlucha legmora.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't complete the task, but but you're not free from it either. The middle one,
Right.
from the beginning of chapter 4, it's a statement of Ben Zomas of who is rich, one who is happy with one's portion, and one all the way to the left is what is it?
Yoter mimiludach aseh.
Yeah, so you got to
It
do more than
is-
simply learning.
Well, I feel bad now. I never credited who said it. I only said that I gave the translation, but I didn't do.
Yeah.
I didn't write in.
Ben Zoma, and the one, the middle one's from a statement of Ben Zoma's. The one all the way to the right is a statement of Rabbi Tarfon's at the end of the second chapter.
My Tarfon, yeah. Well, I did all 6 chapters plus a cover for Seymour Rossell.
Really?
I think he was the printer, or was he the scholar? No, Seymour Rossell.
Oh,
I think he was the printer.
okay. And from
It was who taught at Brown University.
Jacob Neusner?
Yes, right, Jacob
Oh.
Neusner. Seymour Rossell printed it. We met all these people at the conventions. So,
Oh, yeah.
The Synod Reform Rabbi, Rabbinical Assembly, and the Women's League. We met the publishers, Seymour Rossell, and that's what it was. He was teaching at Brown at the time, Jacob Neusner. And,
Yeah.
So I did one for each chapter. And if you notice, I always like to say the devil made me do it. If you look at not your job to complete the work, the word ligmor on the bottom, the
Yeah.
resh is incomplete.
Wow, I had not noticed that before.
Right? I snuck that one in.
That is clever.
When you're working Motzi Shabbos about 2 a.m., this stuff creeps into your mind. That used to be my favorite time for work, Motzi Shabbos.
Oh, yeah?
I see the sun come up on Sunday morning. No phones, no calls from the office. You've been sitting around a full day. Boy, let me get down into the studio tonight.
Oh, wow. So
And
it was a really clear time for your creativity to come out.
That's really what I'm sorry.
It was a really opportune time for your creativity to come out.
Yeah,
Nothing else was going on. You were able to clear your mind and your schedule.
right. And that is a special time, I think. The first piece I ever did took place Motzi Shabbat. It started the whole business. And it's Yeah, I remember the piece.
What
The
was the
second
piece?
one, if you'll notice, pardon?
What
Oh,
was your
what's
very first piece ever?
Oh, well, it's a long story. Should we introduce it right now? It's not
All
really
right.
long.
Well, I'll hold off on that one. It's a good one. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Okay. Now, the middle piece, the Chelko, if you look at that shape between the lamed and the cuff,
Yeah.
I mean, that's an amazing shape. You couldn't sit down and think that up and draw it. I see these,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful shape, right?
Yeah.
It's, I look for those inside the letters now more than ever now. You see the areas are filled in.
Yeah.
And Yoter mi meludach aseh, let your deeds exceed your learning.
Yeah.
Again, they're all filled. The whole areas are filled in.
Yeah.
But those
And
shapes they help define the letter.
yeah. And for me, what's fascinating about these three pieces is that they work differently as far as artistically. And what really stands out sharply is in the middle one, whereas it's a question and an answer. Who is one who is rich? And it's in black. It has the vowels. It has no special coloring to it at all. And then the answer is provided with no vowels, but lots and lots of colors.
Right. Like over on the sun, Sameach.
Yeah, almost looks like Hashemesh, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, well, right. It's
Yeah.
almost, Shemesh.
Yeah, so it's very similar in looking.
I guess Sameach could be from Shemesh. You think the root?
I don't think so, but it's funny the way that you position it. It almost makes one think sun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the idea. Bright and smiling.
Yeah.
The Chelko is like kind of substantial and solid. Your portion,
Yeah, and the piece all the way to the right has all of the even though the lettering has different colors, all of the vowels are this like a goldenrod color, so they remain the same color, even though the lettering has some is black, some is that scarlet. So it's that's fascinating.
Your
Very different
deeds
stylistic.
more than your learning. It's the old story of the tzaddik in pelts.
I was talking about the one on the right.
Oh, I thought you meant the one on the right. What was it?
The Ligmore one. The one where all the vowels have that goldenrod color, that yellowish. And
right. Yeah.
But the letters are a little bit different. The letters on the outside of the piece are all in black, and the letters on the inside are that sort of scarlet.
And that, burgundy.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes I can't explain what led me to it. I mean, it's a long time ago. But I don't know why I blocked that, to tell you the truth. And then put the black lettering around it. I really don't know. But I don't want to repeat. I'd rather go out and dig potatoes than have to copy a piece or make something like it,
So you like being creative each different time. There's a uniqueness, something novel about it.
Oh, a blank page to me is an opportunity, I really mean that. Some people look at it as, a threat. But I look at it as an opportunity. Give me a blank piece of paper or canvas.
Yeah. And this one on the right, I'm sorry, the left. One on the left, the Yoter Milu Modach, is really fascinating because you get a couple of letters here with the coloring inside of it, but then the main piece of it has coloring in it. All the letters.
Yeah, you're learning. More than your learning are your deeds. That's what's important.
That gets the focus of it, right?
Yeah.
And bigger.
He was a mensch. He wasn't a mensch. It's not like, well, you always say he's an excellent scholar, but because he was a mensch, So that's your deeds will describe you, not your knowledge.
Yeah. Wow. So I like these. I'm also a big fan of Pirkei Avot. So I like this particular set that they put together. Really neat.
Yeah, there's three more. I forget what they are.
Yeah, so that was from 1983. And then from 1984, we have Mizra.
Yerushalayim, as we're facing east, the Mizrach. Put the English in there also, east. And the Mem, the Zion, the Resh, and the chet, are large to spell it out. I guess just like the focus facing the east, and to get the interest into, some of the letters are larger and colored in that spell out the word Mizrach again. That's really like I guess you would say it's an exercise in, just letters and spacing and large and small, just to make the area interesting,
Yeah.
get some action in it, get it moving. I just put, Mizrach.
Right.
Although I did a piece that was never reproduced, I remember, that has just a red square and it has a mem, zion, resh, and a chet, just, on the four sides.
Yeah.
This is Yerushalayim, and it was to get some, interest. And I'm looking at the city also. I've done better cities between you and I, more beautiful cities. That was early on. And now I could do a Jerusalem every day, a different one, the domes and the arches and my idea, of Jerusalem, not the way it is, but, the Jerusalem of my mind, the way I think it must have been.
Yeah. What's really fascinating for me to see in this is what you've done, that you focus. Let's see if I can draw here. You have, and I can't seem to be drawing, but you have in the lower right, you have the mem, in the top you have the zion, in the left you have the resh, and in the left corner you have the chet, and each of those, the four letters that appear in four different times, but each out of the four appearances are made bigger than the other letters in accompaniment. So that's a really, really cool piece of this.
If you can visualize, if they were the same size, it would be kind of, wouldn't be as exciting, I think. It would be a little more dull if the words were just around it, the same size.
Yeah. Here we go. The mem, the zion, the resh, and the ches. So it's nice what you did. You took four different sides, four different expressions of the word, and then the word also has four different letters. So that's a nice way of playing.
Yeah, that helped. And it's like, direction, four winds or four ways. Yeah.
Okay. And then let's see so that was 1983. I'm sorry, 1984. And then we have from 1985, so I'm very excited about this one. This is really cool. It's Moda Ani.
Yeah, the first, try to make it a little, that children would enjoy looking at it, with flowers and birds, because, it's the first prayer we teach a child, Moda Ani in the morning. So I try to get a lot like a sunrise and there's birds and flowers and, a child might enjoy looking at it. And there again, the letters actually, they're the vehicle for carrying all of these images. The top half, then the rest of the prayer is in the bottom. I would probably, if I did one today, it would look nothing like this. I don't know what it would look like, but entirely different. But that's what my attempt there was, to make it appeal to children also. So we have all the flowers and birds, butterflies, sunrise images in it.
Yeah. Well, this was also 35 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
I know
as an artist, I would imagine you would change your style along the way.
Oh, you have to grow. Oh, I got to tell you, off the record, when we first started, I don't know, you probably didn't know Saul, the first business partner for 35 years. So I remember I did it. Well, he was new to the art scene, and I remember I made a piece for physicians, and it sold. He said, make another one like it, like knock it off, sort of. What a good idea. He's a merchant. If that's sold, make another one like it.
Right.
I explained to him, I'm on a trip. I'm on my way. Like, I'm not going to sit and, do versions. And he was, he never said anything again. And there we are. After 35 years, we're on the road. But you mentioned that it has to be different.
Yeah.
It just has to be.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, this is really fascinating to look at as far as having mostly, it's stuff from nature that really shows through in the, certainly you have the first three words, Moda Ani lefanecha, that are the big letters with a lot of color, bursting with color. And then you have mostly, it's like flowers, you have a butterfly, a dove, maybe some, I'm not sure if it's a rocket or something, some stars. It's
Oh yeah, right. A
it's
shooting
bursting
star.
with energy.
Yeah.
And of course you have the sun seemingly with between Moda and Ani, which is, so it's bursting with, it's almost spring or summer like. It's bursting with energy and radiance.
And also morning,
And morning, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I ever used that color as a basic color ever again.
That sort of yellowy color.
That yellowy color, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever used it again in that large an area as a primary color.
Really? All right. So that's fairly rare then.
I think so.